after yesterday or the day before when JD Vance and Pete Hegseth and Stephen Miller ran up in Washington D.C. and started screaming. Donald Trump decided to go and do the same thing himself.
POTUS Patrol, like Paw Patrol. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Well, Donald Trump hit the streets to see for himself what law enforcement is up against in his temporary hometown, our nation's capital. So he wanted to witness and observe how things are going 2 weeks after he ordered federal law enforcement to help secure the city.
Hello. It's a healthy, attractive looking group of people.
POTUS Patrol. So this guy went into Washington, D.C., according to Laura Ingham, to go and talk with the people and get an idea of what has been happening in the last 9 to 10 days after he sent military officials into the city to go and screw things up and try and act like they're fighting crime. And as you'll see, Donald Trump was all about talking about law enforcement and crime fighting as he was there.
So all of these big factories that are being built are building their own electric plants fired by oil and gas. They're not fired by wind, by the way, because wind doesn't work, but we won't say that. It destroys everything. It looks terrible. It's a very expensive form of energy. And we're not doing wind. We're going back to fossil fuel. I hope not too many of you people are going to be upset, but we have to go back to what works. We can't be foolish.
They promise. He's there to talk about law enforcement and taking over the city with his military state, except for the time that he's talking about fossil fuels and no longer doing any green energy. Eventually, maybe eventually he'll get to the law enforcement part and how he's taken over the city. We'll see.
In D.C., one of the things we're going to be redoing is your parks. I'm very good at grass because I have a lot of golf courses all over the place. I know more about grass than any human being, I think, anywhere in the world. And we're going to be regrassing all of your parks, all brand new sprinkler systems, the best that you can buy, just like the Augusta. No, it'll look like Augusta. It'll look like, more importantly, Trump National Golf Club. That's even better. But we're going to have all brand new, beautiful grass. You know, like everything else, grass has a life. Do you know that? Grass has a life. You know, we have a life and grass has a life. And the grass here died about 40 years ago.
I want you guys to see this lady behind him. the lady in the white law enforcement shirt, as he's weaving, as he says he does, talking about the grass.
New, beautiful grass. You know, like everything else, grass has a life. Do you know that? Grass has a life. You know, we have a life and grass has a life. And the grass here died about 40 years ago.
She glances at him like, what the is he talking about? What is he rambling on about? Why is he here? How long do I have to stand here? No one actually likes this guy. They're just afraid of him. But he knows more about grass than anybody else in the entire world. I mean, he's got these, golf courses. If you didn't know, Donald Trump has golf courses. We know because you go there every weekend without doing anything except for golfing all the time. But he's going to regrass. He's going to regrass the whole city. It's going to be regrassed. Eventually, he did finally get to the whole thing and the reasons why he's there. And it was based purely in propaganda.
I've never received so many phone calls thanking me for what we've done in Washington, D.C., from people that haven't gone to a restaurant literally in 4 years. And they said, you know, what you've done it's unprecedented, because what they said, it was just unsafe. We couldn't do it. We'd go out and you'd see the stories, you'd read the stories, you'd see all of the things that are happening. And they said, we couldn't stand it, sir. And now I take my wife and my kids to dinner. One of them said he's gone out 4 nights in a row, and he hadn't gone out for 4 years. So it's a great tribute to you. And when I look at you people, I understand why, because there's no games, right? We're not playing games. We're going to make it safe.
He knows that everyone's hearing him lie about this constantly all week, right? It's the same lines. It's been 4 years since people went out to Washington, D.C., and then now the restaurants are booming. Did you know that people didn't go out for 4 years, and now they're going out 4 days in a row because the number 4 is in his head now? And actually Democrats are thanking me, man. I can't believe that you would actually bring in law enforcement and military officials to run through people's cars and go and attack and also threaten and harass the residents of the city. It's wonderful. So wonderful that JD Vance, folks. And Pete Hegseth got heckled the entire time they walked through anybody that wasn't the folks who were supposed to be standing there kissing their asses the way that these folks were standing around this dumb fuck as they're kissing his ass when he constantly talks about the restaurants, which, by the way, he said you should have read the stories. I read the stories. The reservations for restaurants are down. It's weird how everything he says is a lie. It's crazy how that works. I can't understand why that happens, but because when you work around that idiot and you're also Pam Bondi, you repeat the same lies that you also told on TV 3 nights ago too.
Sean, you only hear from the minority who are out there screaming and yelling that they don't want this. But the people of D.C. are actually thanking our officers, all of our federal, state, and local officers, when they're out there all night long fighting to keep America safe. And I think it's crystal clear because the homicide rate has been none this last week.
One other piece of news that I remember reading, it's odd, instead of listening to fascists, those rates and those numbers of arrests that they've given were, first of all, they were fewer than they had been last year. And also, there's absolutely no record of it. They called it a black hole from the records of arrests of who it is they're arresting, for what, when, where, why, and how. It doesn't matter what they've done when they've taken over law enforcement in the city. It's turned into this circus, where they just say what they say is happening, and there's no proof of it. There's no record of it. There's no one that has any idea of what it is that's actually going down. They just say it. But, the propaganda has to continue. And the way that it happens is it's as old as our history. Anybody that you want to have be dehumanized so that you can do whatever you want to them and hope that society will accept it is to call them criminals. It's a constant drumbeat. Criminal, criminal, black folks, minorities, immigrants, brown folks, criminal, criminal, criminal. It's constant. Here's Don Jr. doing his part.
And despite all the uproar you saw from the Democrats in the media, it's interesting when you do all the candid interviews of people on the streets of D.C., 93% of whom are hardened leftists. They're like, no, this is great. I feel safe. This is a wonderful thing. Let's do this. Maybe we should roll out the tour to Portland, Seattle, the other, what we'd call, crap hole cities of the country, not because they're crap holes, but because Democrats made them so. Yeah. Maybe we're going to expand this because it's sort of interesting when a very left-leaning base is actually encouraging these kind of policies because they know the truth.
That didn't even make any sense. Don Jr. said we got to roll out to like Portland and Seattle. I'm not sure why he chose those two cities. They haven't hit those ones yet. Those are new, I guess. But he accidentally was pointing out he froze for a second. We weren't supposed to admit that we're calling people whole countries and whole cities, and that all these minorities are inferior human beings. He almost forgot that he was supposed to continue that lie about how they don't call people inferior, how they don't call other areas crap hole, as he then decided to start saying, "Oh, my bad." As all that crime and all those drugs just flow through those cities. There's a reason why Don Jr. may know which cities have drugs flowing through them, because, allegedly, Don Jr. has an issue with those same, drugs.
That I did. I always used to say when I was with them or when they were leaving a room, I would drive them crazy. No drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. I would say that.
Did you say that to Don Jr.?
Yeah, Don's a little wild. He's a wild. He can be a little tough.
Have you guys ever seen that? When the guy actually accidentally admitted, the same way Don Jr. admitted that they call everyone whole countries and whole cities, he actually admitted that Don Jr. is a wild one. He definitely didn't say, no, Don Jr. doesn't do drugs. Not at all. Don Jr. is a wild one. That same Don Jr., that wild one, even when standing next to his father at this particular event, he couldn't help but to allegedly be a wild one. And whatever city he was in must have been full of cocaine. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Maybe there should be some more programs available for these, drugged out folks that are on the streets, or maybe the ones that are, rich.